So the lunch is still there, so you can still grab cookies, which are gone. So you can't grab any cookies. So this is the slide you already saw before. We got our as far as to submit a proposal. So first of all, figuring out whether a project or a project idea is right for Horizon 2020. Please be aware of that it's not only that it needs to be consistent, we kind of said that a couple of times already, with the EU research priorities as they are defined in each of the program lines, but especially, well, collaborative projects are not about single players. They are not about short-term results. They are about creating networks, and they are also about continuing work relationships beyond the end of the project time. It is about bringing regions together, and that is also why there has this international flagship initiatives. It is really about bringing EU and US, especially in those priorities areas, together, and not only economically but also on a political level. That is why these topics have been selected. What Nicola also earlier said, they are looking for groundbreaking ideas. Well, not every idea or not every project comes up with groundbreaking ideas, but the higher you reach, the better it is, of course. And what they definitely want to see that it's going beyond the state of the art. And don't forget, the larger the projects are, the more money is also involved, and also the running time. Most collaborative projects are between 3 and 5 years. What happened to the clicker? And it switched off. What we always tell our researchers is that they need to plan ahead. It is important that you're able to easily navigate the participant portal and the Horizon 2020 website. Don't worry about the participant portal. That's once I'm finished talking. You need to be aware of the Horizon 2020 website. I showed you earlier how you can find areas you are interested in, the priority areas. Just really play around with it. Then you really better also understand where to find the work program and what the reasoning behind the whole Horizon program. Where I introduced earlier the work programs, it's important that you really thoroughly. They are thick, you are aware of that, but the more you're familiar with them, the easier it is also for you to identify calls you are interested in. So we had a call on one of the previous sessions, whether calls are coming up again. Now, we said earlier in the work program for collaborative projects, the pillar 2 and 3, so industrial and society pillar, they are top down, which means that these calls have been identified or have been designed by the Commission, and similar calls might come up again, as you will identify them in the work program, but never the same, except for all so they coming up again. What you also should be aware of as a researcher, or if you advise your researcher, if they're interested in buying Horizon 2020 projects, is the reasoning behind it. So being familiar with the European research area, and that doesn't mean you should know everything by heart, but you need to kind of make a hint or make a link also, that you're aware of the European research area, that you're aware of the Europe 2020 strategy, and That is basically the bigger package behind Horizon Europe. And within the Europe 2020 strategy, there's the Commission's flagship initiative called Innovation Union, and also there it's always good to refer the awareness of that initiative. So be involved. This is also something which you should tell your researchers. If they have found a core they are interested in, it is important, or they hear about people mentioning it cause, it's important that you network. I mean, your researchers, or you as researchers, you're doing it probably all the time at conferences. But if people are talking about or are asking you whether you are interested in participating in a project, try to figure out and try to get introduced to as many people as possible while you are there who are interested in also participating. Both also on an institutional links, you were mentioning beforehand, you had links with partners in Bern, partners in Israel, Finland, exactly. Well, not really, but this is sometimes also institutions do have long-standing collaborations, which can of course also be deployed as an introduction also to participating as a partner in collaborative. In Europe, well, you're not that often probably in Europe, but generally in the and more the Commission is also doing it here in the United States. There are information days. This is deliberately also offered by the Commission in Brussels. Normally, I think the European Commission in Washington starts to introduce a little bit more, is really for newcomers to the program to introduce the framework of it and facilitating partner search on the spot. But as I said, you probably will not fly to Brussels just because to attend such an event. So they have event web pages where all the documentation is there, all the presentations are stored, and very often they also web stream. That is useful in order to familiarize yourself with open core. And Claire mentioned it this morning, use the national contact points. Every country has, or every associated countries, a member state country has national contact points, and they have national contact points for each of the topics. That also means if you are a partner coordinator, you can actually get in touch with the national contact point of your coordinator or one of the other partners where they have countries where they might have more national contact points, because national contact points are really the go-in between the Commission and the research institutions. They have much more access to confidential information or information which is not yet published, which is published. So that is very useful. Next, what you can do as a researcher. I would highly recommend that to all of you who are advising research, and all the researchers, to register as. If you register as an expert, you are registered in the reviewer database of the European Commission. You can identify, you can register there. It's very easy. You identify the areas of the European where you would like to be a reviewer, give yourself keywords, and you point out your personal expertise. The advantage there really is if you are invited to be an expert or a reviewer for European research proposals, you actually get access. You better understand the evaluation process. You really get access to the unwritten rules for success, so to speak. You better understand how it's linked, the policy area to the core, and you start negotiating also with other reviews, and that really helps you in the sense of preparing and implementing your own research project. So you will receive the slides. I said that already a couple of times, but we already even indicated where you actually can register as an expert, and provided a link to the expert database right away. So we will include that as well. And of course, you can speak to panel members mentioned during the has a panel which evaluates. And it's published, their names are published, not exactly the names who are currently evaluating it, but after the evaluation process, actually access lists of the members who have been. And also all other evaluators who have been working for a year at the commission, that those lists can be accessed. And if you are interested in that, and you can search it has been an because most of the time you don't know who else has been evaluating projects. We constantly are looking for evaluators and that is extremely useful. Because again, as you learn so much about the unwritten rules and how the discussions are going. Be realistic. Jennifer said earlier, the global fellowships are a good access point to start working on European projects. And we would highly encourage every institution to do so. It really offers you the opportunity to familiarize yourself with processes the Commission has laid out. The participant portal, and you don't need to sign the grant agreement right away from the beginning, and that is also extremely helpful. About not being the coordinator, we already spoke a couple of times, not only because of the exchange rate difficulties and hiring a project manager, but a coordinator of a collaborative project is actually not only responsible for hire project management, one person mission, and you can't call up something goes seriously wrong, they call you up, otherwise you have to send emails. But also it's extremely time consuming. You should never underestimate the work of a tour. And if you are invited to participate in a proposal and you are not familiar with all your partners, try to find out as much as possible about them. Also, there is the European Commission's website. There is the database for all funded projects. Or this slides on that. There you can actually search all the funded projects. You find descriptions, you find partners, you see who has been working with whom, and there you can also identify coordinators, persons, institutions, and how their relationship has evolved. In respect to Nicolas is speaking later about the evaluation process itself. This is something I just wanted to flag up, is that with the ERC, you are funded to apply for another ERC project. You already have a ERC running. But yeah, and also you're not allowed to apply then for a synergy grant, only if you are in the last year of the. But the eligibility for ERC is, and you had that question earlier, is important, as if you are, when you are not successful in the year, or which a lot of people are, or a lot of researchers are not, because it is really highly competitive. The ERC has a mechanism that you, if you're not beyond the threshold, that they will not allow you to resubmit your proposal the year after. And if you're evaluated really badly, you might not be allowed to be resubmit for 2 years. And that sometimes means that you are not allowed to resubmit the same scheme, but have to. Yeah, well, of course, this is always important. For every agency will tell you this, but I will tell you this for the European Commission as well. Of course, it is crucial to understand the call topics, and it's important to be able to. It's important to actually read in between the lines. And what I don't know whether I explicitly said it earlier. There is a call, there is a deadline. The deadline means it's never on a Monday, it's never on a Friday. The deadline means 5 o'clock Brussels. Means Brussels. They don't care whether you live at the other side of the world. It is 5 o'clock Brussels. So it means in the middle of the night. Oh no, actually yes, it would be, or very early in the morning for you. But yeah, so anyway. Oh, it's 8 a.m. So mark that down. No, but just that is you have to be aware of. And also, no, I lost my track. Probably it was not important. I said earlier that all the calls are set up the same way. So they speak about the specific challenge, which sets context. It speaks about the scope, which specifies the focus of the call, and the expected impact is the what the European Commission expects the proposal to deliver. If you go further into the scope, and I think Nicola mentioned also earlier, that might be also sometimes where it's indicated that you need to be, well, earlier we had the example of saying it's recommended to have a as participant, or it's highly encouraged to have it. That means a partner in that specific country. And sometimes it's even more specific if they want kind of user involvement. So that means they want users to be actually part of the project in order to test. So here just we took a random example out of a call where it's about the critical call. And this was in respect to the specific challenge. The parts are highlighted. They are actually highlighted also on the page, and they unique market opportunity. So market. Information technology. So talk about information technologies. I see enhancing new frontiers opened by the web. Access, which is we'll talk about later, which is very important. And that's what I just also mentioned to you. Shaped according to users' needs and their value to users must be openly demonstrated. Find that out and demonstrate it if the users are part of the consortium. So think about um, R&D product prototypes of a viable commercial product. So that means they want a prototype. So it is probably an activity very close to the market. So it should not be basic research that wants a prototype, but not yet a full product, but something which reference to a future product and commercial product ready for the market. Well, if you have that, and you and then you can actually do also with the scope. And what I'm trying to tell you here is really that you read it over and over and over and over again to find out and answer whatever requirement, whatever asset they have, the commission has formulated as part of. Here, for example, we are talking about especially market uptake. To this aim, a business model necessary. So you have to come up with a business model, or you have at least to indicate that you will have a model as a part of the project. The commercialization is named there, a commercial service platform. So again, the transnational collaboration is indicated there, and with transnational collaboration really marked that obviously it's looking also for something which is not only regionally focused, and regionally that sometimes can be and again there it speaks there about open standards for data documentation. So again, open access important, and the choice of EU applicants is left to the proposal. So there, at least, there is some freedom for the researcher to develop something. Just to show you also the scope, how narrow or not narrow a top down. So the expected impact is important, as what we always recommend to our researchers, if you kind of go through the expected impact and really read through carefully what the Commission has identified there, take those and really try to look at each of those impacts expected, and actually use them in order to work backwards from them in order to set up your questions. All the impact indicators are answered. Questions? No. So this is the timeline, or not really the timeline, but generally the different stages you have to follow. So the Commission publishes a call for proposals. At the moment, there are the work are the calls already. You can identify the calls from now until the end of Horizon. They will actually publish. There will be more information than just than you currently find in the work programs. More detailed information you will find once a call is published. And then there's another date, and the call will be opened. That means that you actually access the portal and start your session. This is the next open. The research community register their interest or their proposal in the participants. How that is done? Then you submit a full proposal, so this is the structure for a one-stage submission. Then the Commission, really very early, I think they already did that basically once the deadline is over, in the following days, they really check whether the minimum eligibility criteria are fulfilled. So do you have the necessary amount of partners? and do you fulfill all the other requirements they had in the. If that is done, then the proposal is kind of cleared. And that is also where then the registered reviewers or experts are coming into play. They are actually identified and then once done, everything then summary the candidate that is accessible again via the participant portal. But you will email that if you have a two-stage, that is more the rule in really larger projects, then the first part is the same. There is a call for proposal, it's published, and the research community kind of indicates that they are interested in sending a proposal. And then they just submit a short proposal, 10-page proposal, outlining what they would like to do and giving a budget figure without breaking it down. The Commission again checks accepts the proposal and evaluates the short. Once the short proposal has been evaluated, the supervisor is again informed, and then a full proposal needs to be. And then we are back to this moment where this process starts. Okay. Well, any questions to that process so far? Yeah. And the interest research
yeah, I mean, yes. And important is that the whole grant is 8 months from submission to grant, maximum 8. And sign that. So, I mean, actually, what happens is that the project office, I think they have some methods. One of them, how many evaluation. So, it might be that you have a project officer that says you need that to. You have more time. So, how does the evaluation work? Or have there been? Basically 3 steps. The first one is bureaucratic formality evaluation to check it. Second second part is the evaluators, some of them read the proposal in detail, and then they sit together with other evaluators with a co-specific panel to discuss it. And then they build a consensus, rank the proposal. You have always three evaluation criteria: excellence, impact, and implementation. Each of one you can get 5 points, and the minimum is 0. The criteria are actually described in each. We talked already about NXA, the listed country eligible funding, and there are several such annexes about budget, etc. So what are the evaluation criteria? First, excellence. So what are the methods, the scientific methods? How new is what you propose? How groundbreaking is it? Pure scientific. Second one, the impact, is about how do you match the impact you write with what is expected in the context. But they want, do you describe what you do in the project? The question is, how do you disseminate results? How do you strengthen competitiveness of Europe? Like, it's becoming more important, more and more important, the impact part of the proposal. And the third criteria is the implementation. So it's about how do you manage the project? How is it balanced in terms of finances and in terms of expertise? Clearly, the partner who implements the clinical trial, the other ones, so that's considered, of course, but about how you set it up, what institutions do you have in industry versus then the process a little bit more in detail. So when the proposal you write the summary, a 2,000-word summary at the administrative part of the proposal, and this should not be confidential information you put in there, because they screen the abstract for keywords, and with these keywords they go and look for evaluation. So they send them the abstract and ask them, are you interested in evaluating the proposal? So yes. These are the experts. Annika already mentioned it. You can register as an expert, so they have an expert process. They will approach registered experts. It's always a set of members of experts who form a panel, and minimum 3 of them receive one specific proposal to read in detail. They do this and they rank it, and then they discuss it with the other panel members to form this common opinion on how good it is. And then they rank it in comparison with the other proposals as well. Yes. So that's the normal one-step procedure. So as I mentioned, you need 3 points of 5 to reach the threshold. And in order to add it up to 10, because 10 of 15 is the minimum you need somewhere more points to make it. Questions so far? Two-stage proposals work a little bit different, as mentioned. In the first stage, you submit a 10-page proposal with a very rough basic budget, actually just one number. They evaluate it and they go through it only with the first two criteria, so excellence and impact, because you don't have place and it on the 10 pages is not evaluated. First, 4 out of 5 points to get through into the second stage where you can submit the full. Does that make sense? Question? No? Annika, you again.
A proposal has two, all proposals, independent, has two parts, part A and part B. Part A, the online forms, the official forms, and part B is a PDF file which you upload with the outline of your proposal. When we look for our research, we always tell them to start with a one-page proposal. So to start with the so-called lobby document. We call it lobby document because it is actually in large structure, it's very hard for everyone to agree on one page. To clearly say this is what we would like to do. If everybody wants to agree to that, then you can come up with a two-page proposal where you actually look at what are the evaluators' questions, how you prioritize them. You look how you would like to answer them. Write an abstract, write a short section on the excellence part, the impact and the implementation part, and again agree to that amongst all partners and all consortia, because you don't want, as a coordinator, write a project on your own, but as a partner, on the other hand, where you don't write everything, but you essentially write your section and the part you would like to do for the project, you need to kind of also have clearly identify how that relates to the other parts, how that relates to the other works your partners, and work from small to big and write in the proposal. Filling in the forms A, so the official part, which I was talking here about, that most of the time the research administrators are doing, and in collaboration with the PIs, while the scientific part is. And always keep in mind the expectations of evaluators. Now, this is not an official document, but we always call it the 4 C's, where we think this should lead the researchers when writing their proposals, that the evaluators are looking for credibility, that the idea is presented really convincingly and achievably, aware also of the risk it might entail, and of course it has to make sense. Making sense, that also means that it is really clearly described and outlined what will be done. Concrete because you need to be specific. You need to come up with specific methodology and concepts, and not general. And clearly identify who will do what, when, and how. And consistency. Now, this consistency is important, especially in Europe, because there are not that many native English-speaking people, and Brexit will less native English-speaking people for submitting proposals. That means also that you need somebody to proofread it. I would highly recommend that because competition is high, but also, especially for larger consortia, every partner is writing a proposal, and different styles, and kind of streamline it in order for the proposal to sound as if one well-working consortium has written it, and not being some kind of copy pasted together, because that is extremely disturbing for any evaluator. This is how any collaborative project structure when submitting a proposal. So according to the evaluation criteria, it's excellence, impact, and implementations. These are the three sections, the three main sections, and then 4 and 5 where the consortium is presented, and all other participants about which we spoke earlier, and the ethical an ethical table, and where we are discussion kind of also and the security part. So, and also in the templates itself, this is how a proposal templates look like. So all the Horizon 2020 proposal templates for collaborative projects are all looking the same, and they are required to fit. It clearly identifies how it's supposed to look like, how the page is supposed to look like, and what is expected under each of the headings. And also for Marie Curie, ERC, you have templates where it also says what's expected to be written under each of the headlines. Also there we recommend really write every section, fellows, every section they have to answer, because the competition is high, and if you are the best, then the evaluators are starting to look for flaws in order to reach. So even though it looks very rigid, it's, on the other hand, the templates, it provides the applicants really with a clear and very uniform structure, and of course it helps also the evaluators to compare proposals. I just said reads between one proposal has been read between from 3 or up to 5 evaluators. So you can imagine evaluators have 10, 15, 20 proposals to read, and they won't read it from page 1 to page 71, but rather compare it section wise, and this is why the structure. Yeah. So we divide always up the what and the how part, and that helps also not to repeat what you have written earlier in a later. Oops, I wanted to be there. So in the what part, you should write about the objectives, about the concept and the approach you are taking, and in the very first one, it says there 1.1 is about the objectives. So there, it's a very there you should have a conceptual approach to your project outline, and it's conceptual and not technical or operational, because that later on goes into the house. In 1.3, and I leave 1 out. I will talk about that in the very end. 1.2 work program, and then later where we leave. So in 1.3 is more about the conceptual presentation of what the project is about. And in a way, it links also the objectives to the full project presentation, and somehow serves as a portal to the how section. So here you explain really the scientific and technological methods. In 1.4, you 4 is ambition. There you should provide the rationale of the project, and there you should also refer to the innovative potential of what you're aiming for. So you have to outline the state of the art and very clearly identify how the project would go beyond the state of the art. And there you should also make the links to the background information and any previously done work. In the how section, all the third part, second part is the impact, third part is the how section. That is really about the implementation. It's really practical information about the actual project structure and how you think it should be executed. And there you really, the role there is to tell the reviewers what the project would contain: tasks, milestones, deliverables, the budget. And it is important also to have there a well thought through execution plan, not only for the reviewers, but actually also for the consortium as a whole itself. Because if you are about 20 partners, you write a proposal. You earlier said also, from this moment you start writing until you actually start working on it, it's at least a year time has gone by, and you and most of the research are far beyond that moment, and you actually have to go back again. You would rewrite it completely differently. I mean, you probably are aware of that. A year later, things have changed. Can't rewrite it. You can make it patient, but there, if you have a well-executed plan already written out, it's much easier also actually fulfill the task promised. And also, you have to make it helps the reviews, of course, to better understand the budget you are asking for. So in the section 3.1, we always suggest to start with a work plan overview and to link the objectives to the concept and the various work packages. Work packages is actually that work done by consortium, either by individual partners, or that can also be done collaboratively, but there the partners really outline what they intend to do and how they intend to do. And generally for a work package, we suggest not to take more than 2 pages. There is no page limit there, but it's in a 2-pager you kind of should be able to summarize what you aim for. Of course, there is a list of deliverables you need to submit. Also there, we would suggest never to have more than 2 deliverables. The running time of a project, basically because this is legally binding and you have to deliver those deliverables. Same counts also for milestones. In general, we suggest to have 3-4 milestones per project, not per work package, per project, because again, they are check-in points whether you are in line with what you promised to do, but again, they are also legally binding. And one point right in the very end of the when the whole proposal is written, because there you link it back together to the work program. And if you write your proposal with the call text probably in the end know it by heart, researchers, then it's much easier to write that rationale section. And like every proposal, the abstract very end. And as Nicola said, this is something which is publicly available. So all funded projects, the abstract part is being published on the Quartus database. So this, you don't want to put their confidential information in that. As part of 3.4, also that is the resources budget, and also in the last sections, each of the consortium as a whole is presented. So there, each of the institutions are showing their expertise and who the main personnel is working on the program. Especially, this is kind of something, even though I said earlier the are not recurring, but there are similar projects. If you're not successful the first, you find out, especially with the help of the evaluation summary report, where there are the flaws, where something else was expected. Might to improve your proposal. So that is why I always say, listen to read the summary report, evaluation summary report carefully. Talk to the NCP, in order to improve your proposal and submit. And especially also there, this is important for the ERC. Honestly, not defensive, because of course the ERC candidates, they are linked, they kind of spend so much time, especially the last month, working on that. If they are rejected the first time, they are not happy. But if they time sits down and they start the selection process, a lot of them are successful. Now we come to the portal.
The creative process. I don't know why it says creative, but are we talking about the participant portal already? Okay. It's not that I do that presentation first time, right? What is it? It's like the one system for grant management of the European Union. All H2020 grants go through the participant portal. Submission goes through it. All the information is there. The whole management, the reporting, it's all in the participant portal. So it's kind of a combination of SAM, grants.gov, Workspace, ERCOM, basically. So this is how it looks in reality. Now, to be fair or not so fair. Last Friday, the Commission got sent out the release, so it does not look. Soon it doesn't look anymore like this. But you still have this mask, so you can find it if you go to the webpage. So I think when we send out the slides, maybe we put the new ones on it. That would make sense. It's actually exactly the same. It just looks a little bit more modern than the mobile device style. So first of all, for a private account, like what to do, you register, you put your first name, your last name, your email address, you copy paste your email address. Language, and this is the difficult part here to read, the I'm not a robot part. So then it's kind of receive an email and confirm that you accept. Very simple. Now register your organization is a little bit more difficult because it makes sense. Now I skip this a little bit faster because as of I don't know when exactly it will not look anymore. But you still go to this mask, the participant register, and you can search for your organization and check if you're on. And you should, if it's not, yes. So I think there are declared a lot more institutions. So there are also schools and departments. I think it should be kind of a middle way. Should be really legal and it should be read. Or in this case. How does the registration process look like for those who haven't gone through it? Um, you put some identification information like the name of your institution. Second, put some information data. Information data doesn't make sense. So like organizational data, like an address, and then contact data, and there make sure that it is that it's a person communicating with president. Maybe mail will never arrive or never be. Um, when you submit all this information, you receive a participant identification code, uh, and you can work with it. So you can submit proposals. When you have done that and you would like to submit a proposal, the call, so this is now online on the Annika before talking about this topic description, and you can open this map and you see actually the whole funding announcement text with as a here you find the information, like all the annexes to the work program that we talked through. And down here, you can start the submission. So this is the standard look of confirm that you already want to start the submission. And this now, the system looks the same. So basically, out of the participant board, you don't know that it's actually a different system when still look. So you are in the proposal. This is basically your proposal, and you enter data of your organization. So who are you, and are you the main contact for the proposal within your institution? When you found your institution, you use your institution for the proposal. Give in some more information. The acronym of this is random. You can the original there, and you put this short summary I mentioned before about the. So you can enter the proposal and see. And now you have the first partner, and the portal will inform you that you do not fulfill the eligibility criteria until so the following that's what we talked about, the eligibility criteria. So that's actually nice from the portal that it informs you you should have more partners. So you add partners and you add contact details within your institution, and you can add more partners. You identify the institution, and then you add the contact, the PI base. So you will have a look at the different roles in the portal, but here you have the institution, and when you go to add a contact point within your institution, there you add the PI. So you do it already. Yeah, the part and um, the starting page in your private profile projects or proposals. Here you can actually that's where you can add really contact to a project. So when you edit the roles within your institution, you have different options to choose different roles in the organization. We will talk about it. And you can add a person. Now, first and the most central important role, or are there questions up to that point? We will go into the portal later and play around. So the most important role is legal and legal entity appointed representative. So you have to run your register first, actually, in your organization, and it's the one role who can decide a different role. So, and this is why this must be so they need some information for that. You need to submit an ID of the leader. You need to an official letter confirming that this person has signatory power. So this is basically the most complicated thing of the whole registration. Jennifer confirmed. Also, and you don't necessarily read real physical post letter. Yeah, you can receive an. So, what are the other roles? These are basically all the roles participant portal offers, and it's all like in Area Commons you have like a million roles, right? Like BI, postdoc. So we have the legal entity appointed representative. This defines all the rest directly or indirectly, and also an account administrator who does actually have in the portal same here, but not. Minimum. So these are the legal signatory does sign the grant agreement, for instance, and the financial signatory does submit financial reports. They are defined on an institutional level. You can define 4 of them, several of them, to be specific project legal signatory of the project. And then within the project in the primary coordinator contact is the one you click opening the proposal and you will be the main contact or not. And in the other organizations of the project. So these or also coordinated with the iceberg. Right? Yes, not the Harvard cheese. So this actually describes. Yeah, that's it. So what information do we find in the participant portal? We have public information. There's something wrong with that. Formatting, I think. So you have public information up here, and down here you have actually the same, a bit more colorful. Now with the new homepage, it will look a little bit different, but the content is exactly the same. How to participate, titles are same. And when you are logged in with your account, you can access personalized information about your account or about your activity. So you have here the proposal part, and the project part is very important. And you have, when you are registered as an expert, you can also manage your expert administration. There you put in your bank account, you sign contracts, etc. So this is within the project, it still will look the same when you are within different information tracks, and you have always like the current process you are in, you can access. So it does guide you pretty well. So for instance, preparation in process. Editor, see there who did what not, and you can access all the documents needed. And you have here project information, the ongoing process. Here, always all the so that makes it really, when you can submit something, when all these figures here are yellow, then also the button becomes yellow. And here you can actually access all the past processes, see what you have gone through already. And communication with the European Commission goes always through the portal. So no more email communication. It goes through here. Although sometimes you receive a notification via email that you have a message in here. They should access. Proof that it can be. Other questions? Yes. And some active participation. So I created a proposal. Yes. So you can log in with this email address and this password. You can log into the participant portal, have a look at it, and then we created some fun tasks so that you can try it a little bit, see how it works. Yeah, so this doesn't really change because red button proposal. And now it's just like a drop down choice next to edit proposal.